Redditors with thin walls. What have you heard in your apartment? My old neighbor was a cam girl and I could hear absolutely everything she said in every single session for a good 4 months. Pretty much learned the names of her clients. I work from home and it was always a gamble whenever I had to meet with someone virtually. This sounds like you could find out where she works pretty easily. Not that I would, but you know. It'd be great to pop in het chat going, "Hey neighbor. Gonna head to the store. You need something from there? Just look, I've got a conference call with my boss in 15 minutes. Wrap it up." I once heard a former roommate laughing with his then girlfriend about how they're f-king me over on money. Turned out they were taking my utility portion and buying various games and alcohol. Instead of confronting them, I confirmed what they said with the utilities company. They hadn't paid the bill as 2 months, and I moved all my stuff out that day while they were at work. For good measure, I took myself off the lease and told them about the GF that had been there 6 months. Lost the battle but you won the war. F king losers. FKU. Man, if you don't like spaghetti, then you don't like me. I can hear when my neighbors vacuum. Our building tends to vacuum together as a result. I hear my upstairs neighbor and go, "Oh hey, I should vacuum, haven't done that in a while and it's already noisy." Then my downstairs neighbor and my left-hand neighbor start vacuuming. It's kinda hilarious. My right-hand neighbor doesn't vacuum with us but does sing opera while doing dishes. Do you ever run into your neighbors in the hall and be like, "Good vacuuming yesterday. Huh? I good suckin' with the boys, huh?" Neighbors that suck together stay together. My downstairs neighbors are a couple with a 1-year-old boy. The baby's room is right under mine. They speak so sweetly to him I'm not even mad that I can hear them so clearly. One morning the dad went in to get the baby out of bed and I hear him go, "Can you say daddy? Can you say daddy?" And in the tiniest little voice I heard, "Daddy." My heart melted. Years ago I had an upstairs neighbor. At 2 a.m. every night, I would hear something sprint across the entire apartment. I realized 3 things. It was very fast, it took small strides, and it never deviated from its path. One day, I saw my neighbor outside and I said, "I don't know how you have energy at 2 a.m. He responded with, "Dude, I've been working the midnight to 8 a.m. shift for 15 years. Doesn't bother me at all." That night, I watched him leave his house, drive off, and waited 2 hours. At exactly 2 a.m., I heard what sounded like 2 feet hit the floor in his bedroom. And the marathon started. A few weeks later, I see him outside. I tell him what I hear at night and he says, "That's strange. No one has my keys. It's just me and my rabbit up there." Single quote. I once heard an argument that went a little like this: "Stop treating me like I'm stupid. You asked if seahorses were mammals. Jessica, they give live birth." Single quote. So. Are seahorses mammals? Actually, if I'm correct, the females lays eggs like a normal fish would and the male keeps them in a pouch on his tummy until they're ready to emerge. So, they are fish kangaroos? My upstairs neighbors taking turns zapping each other with a stun gun. Hitting the floor, groaning in pain, and then laughing like Beavis and Butthead. I'm pretty sure I'd like your upstairs neighbors. I'd totally let myself be tased at least once. Judging by the sounds from upstairs, you'd have to allow it way more than once to roll with their crew. I've heard and felt the neighbors upstairs having sex. And apparently they like to rearrange the furniture at least twice a week. Yeah girl, you know you want this DCK, my college roommate. 3 kids later it's apparent she did. In fact, want it. After the 3rd kid I am surprised you didn't want some too. Clearly the D was fire. Heard the couple next door arguing. The wife was furious because she realized he had been cheating on her after she found out she had chlamydia. He tried to convince her that she must have been the unfaithful one. She still lives there. He doesn't. Similar one, my brother and I shared an apartment and he told me one morning that the night before he had heard one of the male college students in the apartment above us having a heated discussion with what he assumes is the guy's girlfriend. He could only hear the guy's half of the conversation. But the line that most caught his attention was a very sincere, "I wouldn't have CM in her mouth if I loved her. Not in my house. But I travel a lot for work and stay in a lot of hotels. So far my favorite was hearing someone banging around in the shower for a while, then this exchange: sad face, loudly, 'Hey. Wash my BLLS. Louder, wash your own goddamned BLLS, yelling, fuck you. Your pee stinks. They got quiet after that. Probably because they heard me howling with laughter and realized people could hear them. In our old apartment, our upstairs neighbor had extremely loud, theatrically enthusiastic SX in the middle of the day. The puzzle was that he would stop in the middle and we'd hear him walk to where the bathroom is. Stay there for a minute or two and then walk back and resume in the bedroom. It was the same pattern every time. We could never figure out what that was all about. Any ideas welcomed. C. Kane. I moved from far away, so I have a different state license plate than everyone else at the apartment complex. A couple of days ago I had my upstairs neighbor drunkenly ranting to his wife about what he thinks I'm up to. He's convinced that I'm on the run from something. I'm just in grad school LMAO. Grad school. For crime. I lived next to a guy who took care of his disabled girlfriend. She stayed home with a nurse while he worked to support them and pay for her healthcare. Everyone really admired him for it. He used to get drunk and tell her that if she doesn't start putting out he's gonna throw her out. I was expecting something nice and now I feel like I turned hard into a wall. An argument about money while I was doing the dishes. It ended with a slammed door and one of them on a piano. Hitting the keys like a maniac. Some people read. Some people go get something to eat. Some people exercise. This M-Thurf Kerr relieves stress by going crazy on a piano. Lol. Angrily plays Mozart. Lol, I can just imagine someone with a very distressed look on their face professionally playing Mozart and it's hilarious. My university accommodation had paper-thin walls. You could hear people having SX 5 doors down. And I could hear my friends' music from even further away. Yeah, my college dorms were the same. My roommate asked from her room how to spell something. And our neighbor called to tell her how to spell it. It was hilarious to us. Gina, I love you. Gina, no. Gina, damn it, put the knife down. At this point, both the apartments adjoining to Gina's called the police. Gina's husband decided to spend the night elsewhere. I lived next to a couple some years ago and they came home after a night out and started fighting about who was better at darts. I thought they were joking, but it got pretty heated. Doors were slammed. I still don't know who thought it was a good idea to combine alcohol and darts. I heard the couple that used to live next door go through divorce. Their yelling got progressively worse until I realized that their relationship really wasn't healthy. Once she mentioned that they had split up and that she was moving, I was like, yeah, I know. More what my neighbor heard. I'm a deep sleeper and was an even deeper sleeper as a teenager. My phone alarm was going off for 30 minutes and my neighbors could hear it through the walls. Assumed it was a burglar alarm and called the police. Waking up to the police banging on my door was confusing. The alarm worked. Just in a roundabout way. Task failed successfully. The way my old apartments were laid out. The neighbor's bedroom was right next to my kitchen, dining room. One night, I hear them banging. Thin walls are thinner when the bed is hitting the wall, while I was fixing dinner. I just turned up the music and continued on with my life. 2 hours later, I was cleaning up, doing dishes, and generally tidying up when I heard the familiar thump 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 of banging. I think, good for them, and bag up the trash to take out. Thump thump thump. I open the door and take my bag of trash outside. As I'm walking out, I see the male half of my thumping neighbors. Walking in from his car. Walking back from the dumpster. I see a half-naked dude running out of the neighbor's apartment. They moved shortly after that. Hey, this answer is a bit too dramatic. That's cheating. Couple upstairs would argue frequently. One particular evening, they had an epic battle. It was hours long. About 2 hours into the argument, 11 p.m. on a weeknight, we heard the woman shout, "First of all." That was the moment we knew sleeping wouldn't be restful that night. My male neighbor from India belting out "Hello" by Adele at the top of his lungs. It was magical. Someone sneezed. We said, "Bless you." They laughed. Damn it, Lawrence. Can't you just pretend like we can't hear each other through the wall? Hey Peter. Man. Check out Channel 9. Upstairs neighbors were a single mom and teenage daughter. They were very loud. The mom's room was above my room. One day I had off and was woken up by SX upstairs. It was pretty common in the previous couple weeks. This time, though, someone came in and started screaming. You're having sex in my bed? Turns out the daughter had been skipping school and coming back to the apartment with her boyfriend. They were the ones having sex in the mom's bed. The fight that ensued should have earned both women awards. I could hear my neighbor fart and when her phone went off on vibrate. It was like having roommates I couldn't see. Oh, I thought they were connected. Every time her phone went off, she farted. My ex-neighbors never let their kids leave the house and preferred to raise bubble children. The older son, 12 or 13, was pitifully fragile. One day I heard him crying because he s on his own hands. Greater than he s on his own hands. Wait. What? You gonna just let your turds fall into the toilet and splash? You s into your hand and then put it in the water. I heard my roommates having sex very loudly. I didn't say anything at the moment but sat them down the next day and talked about it. Turns out the boyfriend was at work during the time it happened. Yikes. That's exactly what I said. My roommate talking to himself. I sometimes laughed quietly at his jokes. What can only be described as my flatmate having phone sex while using Christian Bale's Batman voice. I'm Fapman.